if I wanted to be financially free or retire relatively young, it wasn't going to be in the U.S. So we started working on the plans for this house like as soon as we bought the lot. I'm in better shape now than I was 35.
Wow.
You are? Okay, I want some pictures. How old are you? Exactly where do you live? You know?
Oh, she sent all of it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, man. St. John. That's where my dad's from. Yeah. Hey, guys. So today we have a really interesting interview. My friend Dave, we rolled together, met him through the gym. Really great guy. Definitely a trader as well. So... we do that. But yeah, he has a lot of really good information, and just kind of I just want to tell his story because it's just like very interesting story. First off, yeah, we can just go ahead and get into it. But let's talk about why you're in Merida. Like, what made you? What brought you here?
Yeah, so there's I'd say two main themes that brought me to Merida. Obviously, a lot of people know it's a safe, very safe place.
Yep,
when you got kids, you know, I feel like I can let my kids go to the mall by themselves without a problem. You know, I would never do that back in the States. So, you know, it's just very relaxing to, for me to have kids with that kind of environment. Yeah. And then obviously it's tropical. There's paradise except when it's too damn hot. But,
oh man, yeah. It's coming around.
Yeah, but so there's that. No, I don't. My wife and I went to Cancun on our honeymoon, and she's Mexican, as you know, and she said, "Hey, I want to go know Merida. I've heard about it, but I've never been. I didn't even know anything about it."
Oh, okay.
Back then, so we drove over. I rented a car. We drove over, and we went to Progreso. We had lunch on the Melicon, and I still am into kite surfing, and you know how it is on the Melicon in the afternoon. It's windy, and I'm like, hey, this looks great. This would be great for kite surfing. And I didn't see anyone doing it back in those days. It was like
it's crazy
2009, 2008.
Oh, yeah.
And there was no one doing it. So I asked the waiter, I'm like, hey, you ever seen anyone out kite surfing? I had to kind of explain what it was. He's like, oh yeah, I think there's one crazy gringo that lives up there way down that might do it once in a while. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So that was interesting. Then we went into Centro and had a great time getting to know the city. And we just started coming back almost every year for vacation. And then 7 years ago, I said, you know what? The way the city is, the safety and, you know, the nice aspects of the city. Yeah. Like we should buy some property. And real estate was already going up like crazy back then, 7 years ago. So we ended up buying this lot here where we live now, 7 years ago. And the other aspect of it though was, I told you I started getting into some of these books for self-improvement. You know, the whole concept of financial freedom and that kind of stuff. I figured out pretty early on that if I wanted to be financially free or retire relatively young, it wasn't going to be in the U.S. So given that my wife's Mexican, obviously Mexico makes sense for us. So that was another aspect of moving down here, is just the personal finance aspect of it.
So you're retired now.
Yeah.
And you bought the lot. You didn't buy the lot 7 years ago?
We did, yeah. We bought it 7 years ago.
Now, was there anyone else like around you that was thinking like this? Like as far as financial freedom and financial literacy?
Not really.
So you were like on your own.
Yeah.
You just, man, that's another thing. Like a lot of people feel like they kind of just don't have anyone around, but then also success stories where you just kind of do it yourself. Yeah. And so little by little, you start down the path of self-improvement, and you're still working your job, or?
Yeah. So what happened was, what kind of shocked me into it was, I told you I started Intel in the mid 90s, got into the late 90s, early 2000s, where obviously we had the big crash. And I was young and I was working hard. My career was on a great trajectory. And then all of a sudden the layoffs came, you know, in the early 2000s. And I didn't get laid off, but a lot of my friends did. And that's kind of what woke me up to, oh, you know what? This corporation is not necessarily going to just take care of me.
It doesn't care.
Yeah. So I'm just, if push comes to shove, I'll be walked out the door just like some of my friends. I better start working on my plan. And that's really kind of what kicked it off.
Wow. But you were working in hardware or software?
Hardware.
Okay. Did you ever switch to software, or you stayed hardware the entire time?
I switched to management, so
okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So that was kind of a catalyst for you to realizing, like, okay, nobody is there's no help. There's no, like, support. Yeah. You could be the next one out the door. And so
Yep.
You bought a lot out here. Now, I remember we talked a little bit about, it's why most people leave the U.S. It's just what's going on and, like, the strangeness of the environment, and the safety is definitely an issue. And then also your money just stretches so much more elsewhere. Are there any other reasons you left the U.S.?
Well, I mean, I was in California and I got 3 young girls, and the whole indoctrination that they got going on, especially in California with my 3 young girls, I was not looking for. So that was, we had been planning this for a while, so it's not like that pushed us out to come here. But with COVID also, I was originally thinking before COVID, at some point when I feel comfortable enough with the finances, that's when we'll go.
So it wasn't the trajectory of California, and it wasn't the...
Well, it became that, but I didn't notice that until COVID, really.
Interesting.
That's when everything kind of hit, is during COVID, and that made me want to hurry up and get out of there.
That's interesting, because I love California. Did you feel that things get more expensive?
Oh, for sure. So I bought my first house in Folsom. It's outside of Sacramento. It's a very nice suburb of Sacramento on the way up to Lake Tahoe. Bought my first house for less than $200,000 back in 2000.
I see. Okay.
And things were relatively cheap there at the time. Now that house, if you were to go look at it today, it would be close to $1 million.
Sheesh.
Yeah. 24 years later.
Dang. Yeah, that's an investment.
Yeah.
That's an investment. But at the same time, living there, I'm pretty sure everything else around it is going up, and the cost of living is not like great. So COVID kind of like is when things was just like, I got like a light bulb.
Well, 2 things. One is, we had this property, and it was just, okay, when are we going to decide to start building?
I see.
So with COVID being locked in my house, a smaller house, I was like, you know what? Let's go. Let's build this so I can have my space, or you saw I got my gym, I got my pool.
Yeah.
If I'm locked in place, I'd rather be locked in here.
Yeah.
And then, we started to see the indoctrination that was starting to happen, especially for my older daughter.
Yeah.
And I could work remote because originally I was thinking I would retire before I would leave. But I was like, well, I don't need to do that. I can work remote. So up until the end of last year, I was working remote for the same company. So it's just like it all kind of came together. It's like, well, let's go.
Wow, that all kind of.
And if we don't go now, my then 13, almost 14-year-old was never gonna want to move. So
That's true. You told me that there was at one point some kind of issue with the material for the school, and that was like an issue too.
Yes.
And I've never heard that before. Yeah, and I never heard that before, and it was like, what? It was like you said there was like material that you wish that as a parent they would have talked to you about instead of just hand it to your.
Well, actually, children. They lied to us because. So it was in the context of sex ed, which, I did sex ed when I was a kid.
Yeah.
The normal stuff. And we had already started to feel, okay, what are they really going to be teaching in this thing?
Yeah, you definitely, as a parent, you definitely want to be, on top of that.
So my wife went, she was actually part of the PTA for the school. And she went and talked to them and said, I want to know exactly what they're going to be teaching. And they convinced her it was just the normal stuff. It was like, okay, and my daughter really wanted to do it. She didn't want, the option was you either go do this or you're going to be off in a room by yourself doing, study hall. And she really wanted to be, she didn't want to be singled out, right? So given that, we let her do it. And then when we were in the process of moving down here, we were obviously packing stuff up, and we found this book. Not a book, but the pamphlet that they made, the study material. And they started talking about the gender ideology, which they promised us they weren't going to do. And yeah, obviously that didn't leave a good taste in our mouth.
Yeah, I mean, as a parent, you definitely should be informed, especially something so sensitive, something that, it's kind of new within the school system. Because, I mean, we did have it, but it's changing like every year. They're adding things. But yeah, that story kind of like shocked me because I never heard anything like that. And
I know you asked me, do we still have the book? And I thought we did, but Marcel threw it away.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Okay, cool. So that makes sense. So you leave the U.S., and you retire. So how long were you here before you retired?
It was like a little more than a year and a half.
Okay. And then you finally cut the cord, like...
I kind of looked at it like surfing. It was like, I'm on a wave, my career. It's going well. I'm not just going to jump off the wave when things are going well. There will be a time when it's the right time, the wave's ending or whatever, and I'll go with it. That's how I looked at it. And they started doing layoffs
again.
Because my division spun out of Intel and became a new company, and they promised an IPO and everything. They're still working on that. I'm still friends with the CEO of the company, and it was memory business, solid state drives. So that business had a downturn. Not the rest of the industry, but that particular aspect of the industry had a downturn. So we started having layoffs, and not the first round, but the second round, my boss's boss, who's my friend, the CEO of the company, said to me, "Hey, I know he knew I was building a house here. He knew I was living here. He was like, this might be a good opportunity for you to get a little going away gift, severance package to leave." And I said, yeah, I'm gonna take it.
Okay, the wave, it's time to get off the wave. That makes sense. So how are you feeling now? Now that you're tired, like you're doing jujitsu, and also this guy is strong. How old are you?
52.
This guy is strong. I rode him. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. We're both blue belts, so it's really good. It's fun, and if you're in Merida and you want to do some jiu-jitsu, please
come to Gracie Baja.
Yeah, and get choked out by this guy.
Or this guy.
Okay, so you're retired now. How are you feeling? Like, is the freedom? Is it like everything you thought? Like, what is it as far as retirement?
Yes, I would say I'm having a great time being retired. The thing is, though, the only thing that's kind of feels weird, I always knew it was going to be the case, when you stop working and you're used to the bank account going up, all of a sudden it starts going the other way, and seeing those balances go down, and now I'm focusing on the trading, and I'm in the paper trading stage, so there's not anything getting added to the accounts from that. So that's a weird feeling, but I plan for it, right? So, but it's still a weird feeling. But yeah, as far as the time, like, I'm loving working on the trading. I'm loving having the time to do jiu-jitsu. I get in my pool almost every day, do my ice bath right there. So yeah, so far I'm having a great time. It's been almost a year since I've been retired. The first 4 to 5 months, I was working hard to get this thing done and then get it ready to live in.
Yeah.
But over the past, 4 months, it's been pretty great.
That's good. That's actually a good segue into your house and building things. I do want to do a separate, specific video for that, because I feel like you could go on all day as far as contractors, how you set it up, everything. But as far as that, so you had the land.
Yep.
You wanted to build the house, and you had a specific architect in mind.
Yeah.
Talked about that. And so you had a number that you, I guess, do you get that number?
You mean the cost? Yeah, that's a sore subject right there.
And you said that you went over that number because
Yes.
we were talking as you were building the house.
Yeah.
So how much more, like what percentage more did you have to put in?
Okay. So there's a couple layers to that. So we started working on the plans for this house like as soon as we bought the lot.
Mm-hmm.
And when we had kind of the final plans, that we were probably a year later, and I asked for an estimate from the architect, and I'll say dollars because that's what I wanted to know, right?
Yes.
So to build this house, he gave me an estimate of just over $600,000, right? I was like, okay, and that was 6 years ago. So when we started working on it 2 years ago. The estimate changed a little bit, as you can imagine, because inflation had gone up, and so he gave me an estimate of like 800.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. So
yeah.
it went up
6 years later,
right?
Or 5 years later, and it ended up being more than that, another 200K over that to get it done. So,
now, was that the effect of the Maya train being built, of the peso to the dollar? Like, was it those things?
Both.
Ah, okay. Because I heard people saying that it was harder to find materials because of it or something like that.
Workers too. They wanted more money, because they're in demand. Yeah, and the material was more expensive because of that. And
that makes sense. Dang, so an extra. So yeah, that's not double, but basically might as well, like 40%.
Yeah. From my original plan, yeah.
But are you satisfied? Like, is it what you wanted?
Yeah, the finished product, for the most part, there's still work to be done. I got, like, one of the things my wife hates, and I agree with her, is you get this humidity in the walls, and the paint starts to bubble up a little bit.
Oh, man. I've seen that.
And we talked to the architect about it. It's like, he has this method that guarantees it's not going to happen. Well, it does happen. So now he's got to come fix it. And
yeah, that makes sense. I think the house I'm in now is doing something like that. And I talked to the owner, and I'm like, there's water coming in through the walls. And it's like, it's weird. But I think we're up against another house. It could be something weird. So you got the finished product. It's what you wanted. Now, what was the most difficult part?
Of the house?
Of like getting the build. Was it the contractors? Was it like a specific, I think you said the carpentry was.
Yeah, carpentry.
And is it custom carpentry or is it like, okay.
Yeah, so it's all custom. It was just, it wasn't cheap to do the carpentry, but Rodrigo, the architect, hired one of the bigger companies here. And I didn't know it at the time, but it's kind of like, you talk to anyone who's built a house, it's always, carpentry's a big problem. You need to get ahead of that, get multiple bids and that kind of stuff. But he handled all that.
Oh, good. Okay.
But that didn't get it done. So, so that was the thing that kept us from moving in here when I wanted to. We wanted to move in here before Christmas last year, and it didn't happen. We didn't move in until March. And it was because of the carpentry. So you can't see it on video, but like you can look into the kitchen, all that wood, it was going super slow, and it was coming in every day, and like they're not making much progress here. So we ended up having to fire that company, and then Rodrigo said, I can call in a favor with this other company. He called in a favor, and guess what? They didn't get it done either.
That's interesting.
Another bigger company. So then he basically went on Facebook and started asking for random carpenters and come take a picture of their INE and, before he gives any money. And, he had like 5 guys. They said, okay, you're going to do this part, you're going to do this part. And then the idea was whoever made good progress with good quality was the guy we were going to give more and more work to.
That's smart.
And that's eventually what happened. We ended up having a really good carpenter who then made us some custom furniture after. But, it took us 3 months longer to get the carpentry done than it was supposed to.
Okay. And so going forward, let's say that you did it again. What would you do differently?
Well, I would try to get ahead of the surprises on the cost. And what I realized is that, you get an estimate from the guy who's building the house, sounds kind of obvious, but he doesn't necessarily have any skin in the game the way that I did the contract with him to keep the cost under control.
Mm-hmm.
He sold it as, and I understand it perfectly. He said, "Hey, it's cost of materials and labor plus his 15%, which is reasonable compared to like what you pay in the U.S. percentage-wise to a contractor."
Mm-hmm.
But that cost is totally unknown. Right? So he gives me an estimate, but he has no skin in that game. So he just, when I asked him about it, he's like, "Oh, well, you pick marble, that's expensive. You pick this, that's expensive." It's like, okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would, if I had to do it again, I would find a couple other ways of getting estimates from people who, I'm paying just for that, so they can get reasonable estimates.
Okay.
And then the carpentry, I would do it differently. I would do what we eventually did from the beginning.
In the first place, yeah.
Honestly,
that's a smart idea. That's a very smart idea, just slowly. And that's kind of one of the things with contractors. It's like, you don't know who's honest, who's not, you just don't know.
Well, that's one thing that I would continue to do it the way that I did it with Rodrigo. We had to get to know him over years to make sure that before I, start doing anything with this guy, that I can really trust him. I've heard some horror stories. I'm sure you've heard some horror stories of people getting scammed and, money taken. In fact, we have some friends that are down in Centro that happened to not long ago.
Dang, how much?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars,
What?
Yeah, they relied on one of these one of these guys that is supposedly set up to help people. Does everything from get your residency, with immigration, find a car for you, do some construction. I'm not going to mention any names, but
man, you should. If he's scamming people, what? You should mention his name all over the place.
But it's one of these guys that facilitates getting stuff done for people from the U.S. and Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Beware of that, because they got scammed for a lot of money. They bought a car that basically broke down and is totally junked after like a month. And
oh my God! Talking about some guy scamming people.
Yeah.
And you know what? There was a guy in our gym. I don't know if do you know what I'm talking about?
The guy who was scamming people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did somebody
Jack?
I never met him.
That one I remember for sure.
Did he get anybody?
Yeah, he got a couple people, some of the local Mexicans.
Jeez.
He would ask to borrow money and then, hey, I'll pay you back a ridiculous amount of interest in a week, and of course didn't pay back anything.
Yes. Oh man, yeah, I've heard he got a couple thousand out of a few people.
Yeah,
you gotta be careful with the scams. If it's too good to be true, just don't do it. Or if something is like super expensive, you can double check. I don't know if you've seen our other video where our friends got scammed, where they were paying in an apartment and the apartment electricity was hooked up to the entire Pravada. And for 2 years they were paying.
Ooh.
2 years.
Ooh, that hurts.
It did. I was like, gosh. But it happens, so you have to be aware. And I think the only reason that they even caught wind of it, because they're fresh out the U.S. Oh yeah, I'm paying like $150, $200 for electricity or whatever. I think they're paying more. I think it was like $5.
Yeah, I was gonna say that doesn't sound like a whole Pravada.
No, I think it was $5 actually.
Yeah,
it was like upwards of 10,000 pesos, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then they thought that was normal, and then I think they're like, the nanny was like cleaning up or something, and she saw an electric bill and was like, what the? And it's like, this is impossible. So yeah, check with people, if you're not sure about something, just check in. Yeah,
I totally agree. We spent years getting to know Rodrigo. We went to go see a lot of his work before we decided to really work with him.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely recommend, if you have the ability to do that, to really get to know someone before you do any kind of transaction with them, because there's too many people that take your money and run.
Yes, definitely. I want to talk more about retirement, because I feel like some people are coming up on retirement, and I met a few people who were talking about like, hey, you should retire, you should get out, you should, live your life, spend your money.
Yeah.
How do you feel about, like, what would you say? If someone was thinking about retiring in Merida, what would you tell them?
I would say it's probably not as cheap as you think it might be.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, especially if you have kids in school like me, that's a big expense still remaining. I'm not paying rent anymore, but
that's true.
But I do have tuition for the kids, and they still got to go to college.
Clothes.
Clothes. Got 3 girls, so things. There's some like clothes, for example, is a good example. You wouldn't think it, but clothes are more expensive here than they are in the U.S.
Yeah. I can't find anything that fits me.
Yeah, well, that too. So most of the time, we'll do like a summer trip to the U.S. and they'll do all their shopping in the U.S. for cheaper than they can do here, but that's not always possible. Food's definitely cheaper here.
Absolutely.
Day-to-day living expenses, with the exception of gasoline, are cheaper here. Gasoline is not cheaper. It's like California prices, which is ridiculous.
Not like natural gas. You're talking about like for the car.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. It's crazy, and then electricity is not that cheap either.
Yeah, it's true. On those, I think they rate it or something.
Yeah.
Sometimes, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they do. For us, it's not that cheap. If you go over a certain threshold, you get charged like triple. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's why solar panels make sense.
Yes.
It makes sense. I have a friend, she got solar panels, and she was telling me, she was like, her bill is like $2 now. Or
Yeah.
That's
so solar definitely makes sense here. That's for sure. If you own a house, some people even do it when they rent. If they're going to rent for several years.
Oh, that's true. It makes sense.
You can supposedly take the panels with you, but it's not the panels that cost a lot of money. It's the inverters.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
That's good to know.
But yeah, okay, so the big reason when I was looking at financial freedom, it was Mexico versus the U.S. The biggest reason, medical insurance. And medical insurance, just to buy it outright in the U.S., if you have any kind of money at all, is just ridiculous. If you don't have it through a job, it's just ridiculous. Here, it's the opposite. I'm paying like 10% of what it would cost me in the U.S.
10?
Yeah, 10%. So for 1 year, for the 5 of us, my wife and I and 3 daughters, I'm paying $5,000 a year for good insurance, where you can go to El Faro, one of the best hospitals. You can go to all the hospitals in Merida, but we wanted specifically to go to El Faro. $5,000.
What?
Yeah. That's like a month of medical insurance in the U.S.
Yeah,
right?
for your family, that's insane. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So that's a big expense saved here. So that's probably one of the biggest reasons is the medical situation, more than anything, for retiring, because I'm 52. I don't qualify for Medicare for another 13 years.
Oh,
so
that's not good.
Yeah, I mean, paying out of pocket, and the older you get, the more it costs, right? So.
Yeah. This is even better. So this is another thing. You're in shape. You're healthy. You take good care of yourself.
Yeah.
This is something that I think is very important. Yeah. And so, like, what do you do to take care of yourself, or what have you done to take care of yourself? I think it's important. I think people watching, whether you're older, whether you're younger, it's like, it's good to see.
Yeah. So I've always been athletic. I love to do physical things. And I never thought I'd get into jiu-jitsu, but jiu-jitsu's been great. I mean, it's been like...
You 2 years in, or?
Yeah, 2 years in.
Okay.
Exactly. Started in December 2 years ago. So exactly 2 years in, and there is nothing that has gotten me into the shape like I am now, like jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I mean, at my age, I can't do only jiu-jitsu. My body will fall apart. So I try to do 2 days a week weight training. Before I found jiu-jitsu, I was doing a lot more than that. Weight training, trying to get some cardio in. But I've always tried to stay active, and maintain muscle tone, especially as a man. you know, as you get into your 40s and 50s, you don't want to let your testosterone decline. So one of the best ways you can offset that is doing resistance training.
Oh, okay.
Jiu-jitsu helps a lot too.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is all resistance. You're sitting there trying to fold a person like laundry. It's amazing.
Yes.
I love it. And I know y'all see from the channel, I'm always in the gym, but it sucks that I'm out right now. But you said you weight lift and then you fast.
Yes. So in my 20s, 30s, you know, I could just lift more and, you know, get my six pack and get in shape. Didn't really matter what I ate. As I got later in my 30s, I was like, okay, well, I got to be more careful on what I'm eating, you know, eat more lean is what I was thinking. And that worked for a while. I got in my 40s, I'm like, it's not working that great. I can't really get that six pack. It was really, really hard. I was even pushing myself really hard. It was just very difficult to maintain. So then I found fasting, and that was like a reset button on the metabolism. And I still fast. I do 2 days a week where I basically don't eat. So I'm going 42 hours.
2 days a week.
Yeah. So right now I'm fasted. I didn't eat yesterday. I won't eat until, I don't know, between noon and 2 today.
And when you start back eating again, it's like a light meal, or
no.
Oh, you go straight.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like about fasting. It makes me appreciate the food even more. You know, it's like something to look forward to.
Yeah, I fasted for 4 days. I think at one point. I think it was 4 or 3. I can't remember. I was like out of it. But I ate a dragon fruit after, and it was the best.
Tasted the best thing you ever had in your life, right?
Ever. It was so perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that appreciation of food is very important. I think a lot of people don't have that, but try fasting if you're watching this.
Yeah, totally. It was a game changer for me. And then jiu-jitsu was another game changer. Just the amount of exertion that your body has to put out to do jiu-jitsu. It's like that fight or flight response, you know. It's like your body doesn't know whether you're fighting a lion or just doing jiu-jitsu, so it releases growth hormone and testosterone if you're a man. And, I'm able to. I'm in better shape now than I was 35.
Wow. I really wanted to go over to the bookshelf because there's some amazing books, and I just want to show it because I'm excited. Yeah, that's it right there. All right, so tell me your favorite one.
Well, it depends on the topic. We talked about trading before, and you know, for psychology, I think we both agreed Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas.
Can't beat it.
Yeah, I can't think of a better one. I tried, I couldn't think of one. And then for more of the math and, you know, mechanical aspects of trading, this book right here by Perry Kaufman, Trading Systems and Method. It's a Bible. It's got tons of information, but I think that it's like an encyclopedia of almost everything for that. So those are the two I would say I like the best for trading related.
And you said your first self-help book is
Think and Grow Rich.
It's not here.
Sure where my copy is. My wife's copy's up there in Spanish. There was some stuff that got lost in the move, so it might have been in there. That's what's kicked me off on the self-help, self-improvement.
Yeah, and that one, that's crazy. Yeah, there's just so much. And then you were talking about this one right here. I have to get some of these books. I'm super excited about that. But that's it for the video. Hope you like it. If you don't like it, give me a thumbs down. Let me know you hate it. If you like it, thumbs up, comment, ask questions. That's always good too. Y'all have a nice day.